Today, I'll be making one of the hardest recipes in the RuneScape Cookbook, the stuffed snake. Will I finally be able to make it into the RuneScape Cooking Guild, or will everything go up in flames?
The RuneScape Official Cookbook came out earlier this year, and I managed to get my hands on one. This cookbook features various real-world recipes that the authors deemed most similar to certain in-game items. These recipes are rated on a difficulty level from easy to master, with there only being 3 master recipes in the cookbook. I've played around a little bit with a couple of the recipes, one being the master level purple sweets, which was an ube caramel, but today I'll be tackling the other master level food recipe, the cooked snake. I'm pretty nervous about being able to actually complete this one without everything exploding, but hey, we'll try our best. Before I get started, I just want to disclaim, I am not a professional chef. I am not even a good cook. I'm just someone that likes to cook for a hobby, so you're probably going to see me do a lot of scuffed and stupid things in this video. So feel free to drop a hate comment in the comment below and tell me what to fix. Okay, so cooked snake in the cookbook is actually a dish called börek, which is a Balkan, Turkish, Bosnian type dish that's essentially some sort of pastry or doughy thing that is wrapped around a ground beef or lamb mince. So I'm going to be making a lamb mince, and then I'm going to be using phyllo pastry dough, wrapping that around the mince, and sort of creating that snake coil thing from it. So as any good mince would start, we're going to chop up some garlic cloves and get some onions diced. So that's what I'm doing here.
Alright, time to add some spices. We've got salt, we've got some cumin, we've got some paprika, we've got some coriander, red pepper flakes, just black pepper. We've got a bit of allspice, I believe, some ground cloves, and finish it off with some cinnamon. I'm a big spice fan. I'd love to dump chili pepper on this shit, but let's just stick with the recipe. Alright, now we got ourselves some dried cherries. These are going to add a bit of acidity to the ground meat. You could also use things like golden raisins or some other types of dried fruit, but this is what the recipe wanted, so that's what I did. Also did some pine nuts. That's going to add a bit of crunch to the meat, and honestly, these turned out a lot better than I expected. I haven't really worked with them much, but they were, pretty easy to roast and turned out delicious. Let's move to the stove. Alright, so first things first, we're going to drop our pine nuts in, get those on a light roast for a little bit. Gotta oil our main pan, of course. I just use olive oil here. Next, we get our ground lamb and we break it up into chunks. I don't break it up all the way immediately, just to get a bit of browning on them. Toss in the pine nuts here. These cook pretty quick, so watch them carefully. And then I continue to break apart the lamb. Pine nuts are basically done after a few minutes, so take those off the heat. Looking pretty good, a little bit of brown in there. Continue to break up this lamb mince, and now we're going to start adding some of the other ingredients. So first things first, onions go in. Normally I like to add garlic before anything, but we're following the recipe. After those onions soften a bit, we're going to go ahead and add some of the garlic. Okay, get that all nice and mixed in. Now we're going to add our spices in after that sort of cooks for a minute or two. Just dump in those spices. You're going to notice just how much the meat's going to change when I stir these in.
I'm cooking up, I'm adding my spices to the lamb, and then the filling is almost done. The hard part is the pastry molding, which I will have to do after the filling cools, so we're getting there. Ooh, these spices are so good though, so aromatic.
Alright, next after the spices are well incorporated, I'm going to add some tomato puree and toss in our pine nuts. Finish it off with those dried cherries. And then we're just going to mix them all up together, get them nice and incorporated. And last but not least, we're just going to let that lamb mince simmer on low heat for about 10 minutes. And that's going to take our texture from sort of a liquidy, saucy texture to something that's kind of more cohesive and sticks together really nicely and looks really flavorful. So that is done. I just got to let that cool down and then I can use it as filling. Alright, let's get to the hard part. So the first thing we're going to do is make some sort of egg wash mixture. We're going to combine kefir, which is kind of like buttermilk, and an egg, whisk that up until it's sort of fully mixed. Yes, it is fully mixed, Rohan. Good job. You showed them it's mixed. Next, you're going to sheet of parchment paper. This is going to be our working surface, and you're just going to lay that down on a counter or a flat top. And we're going to get out a bunch of phyllo dough sheets, and I've laid them out here, and I'm starting to sort of take this egg kefir mixture and wipe it across the phyllo dough, and then put another phyllo dough on. And I sort of use it as glue between each of the phyllo dough sheets, and I stack these up for about 5 sheets thick. This is probably one of the hardest parts of the process. I was very nervous the phyllo dough was going to break, and it did break a little bit, so you got to be pretty gentle here, but 5 layers seem to do the trick, so I think the book is right in that aspect. So now I'm going to layer my lamb mince in a vertical sort of strip, and I'm going to roll this up into a log. This is probably the most delicate part of the process. You got to very carefully roll it. Don't worry if the phyllo dough starts to tear a bit. As long as you keep rolling it, the tear should end up in the middle of the roll, so you shouldn't see it on the outside. But if the outside does rip at all, then you can take additional phyllo dough and sort of patch it up, which I ended up doing a little bit. After it's rolled into a log, you're going to curl it ever so carefully into a spiral shape, and that is our snake. And lift it off and put it in an oven pan, also lined with parchment paper. I ended up making 3 of them, and we're just going to brush these with some melted butter to finish them off. Pop them in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 50-55 minutes, and we end up with some nice golden browns. I had a bit of leakage here, but just to wipe it off. And there we go. We've got ourselves some lovely borek.